Hi everyone. I'm Fatih, a chemist and AI business development consultant. In this episode of the ChemAI Fusion podcast series, my digital assistants ION and MWell join me to explore which AI models you can use to find and verify soap formulations and how to create reliable recipes with effective prompts. However, if you're planning to use these formulations for commercial purposes, please make sure to consult a professional chemist. The information shared here is mainly intended for educational and home hobby use. If you'd like to get my ebooks covering soap, shampoo, candle, and cream formulations along with detailed preparation methods, feel free to contact me via email. Enjoy listening.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We dig into the sources so you get the key insights, fast. Today we're looking at something pretty fascinating, a real transformation. It's about one of the oldest crafts, really soap making, and how AI, artificial intelligence, has turned it on its head. It used to be all about intuition, years of practice, getting the feel right.
Exactly. It was an art form, almost. You think about a master soap maker maybe 20 years ago. They learned through, decades of just doing it, balancing oils, lye, getting that pH right. It was all experience, often just local knowledge passed down.
That deep sort of gut feeling was the secret sauce.
It really was. That was the technical skill.
And now,
yeah,
it's different. that perfect mix, the chemically sound formula, our sources are showing it's become much more about data mining, believe it or not.
It's a huge shift. AI can sift through, millions of formulas online. Chemistry papers, websites, and it does it in, seconds, across different languages, too.
Finding what the data says is the best chemical mix from this massive global pool of information.
It's pretty incredible. But it changes the game for the person involved, right? The expert's role is different now.
It's not just faster, it's the expertise itself has shifted. That long apprenticeship is being replaced by knowing how to talk to the AI, how to direct it properly. And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We're not just looking at how AI finds a formula. We want to explore that crucial difference, the gap between using AI like a slightly better search engine, for quick answers, and really commanding it, getting it to do a deep chemist-level investigation you can actually rely on for, say, a real product you want to sell.
That distinction is everything now.
Okay, so let's start with the obvious wins, the big benefits AI brings right off the bat. Moving beyond that, local knowledge you mentioned. Speed is one thing, obviously, but the sheer access.
Yeah, the access is revolutionary. And a key part of that is the language thing. It effectively creates this global laboratory. Think about it. 20 years back, if you were a formulator, maybe in the US, you were mostly stuck with what was published in English, right? What your local library had or your professional network shared.
Right, limited horizons.
Totally. But AI, it just smashes those walls. It can read and understand and synthesize information from, specialized chemical journals or formulation sites in Turkish, Chinese, Arabic, English, whatever.
So there's some breakthrough, some tiny detail about making olive oil soap more stable, published in Shanghai.
You have access to it instantly. The AI can incorporate that data point. You're not restricted by geography or language anymore.
So we've gone from like a local artisan with their specific toolkit to potentially anyone being plugged into this constantly updated worldwide chemical brain.
That's a good way to put it. And that directly feeds into its predictive power.
Right, which is where the real time and money savings probably kick in.
Absolutely. Think about perfecting a new soap recipe. Traditionally, that could take months, maybe even years. Lots of trial and error, making batches, letting them cure, testing stability. It's slow and expensive.
Yeah, physical R&D.
Right. AI can simulate a lot of that now in seconds. It drastically cuts down that physical testing cycle.
Okay, can you give us a feel for that? How powerful is that prediction?
It's getting quite sophisticated. Let's take a relatively simple change. Say you want to know what happens if you increase the olive oil in your formula to, 70%. An AI model can predict the likely effects on key properties, things that normally take time to see.
Like what?
Like the final hardness of the soap bar, or how much lather it will produce, even its shelf life, its stability over time.
Wow, things that would normally take months of curing and testing.
Exactly. Now you get a data-driven prediction almost instantly, that efficiency. For a business, that's huge. Huge time savings, huge cost savings.
Okay, that speed. That predictive power. It sounds amazing, almost too easy. Which brings us smack into the biggest challenge, doesn't it? The whole art of the prompt. If the AI is this fast, we absolutely have to make sure we're asking the right questions, getting something valuable back.
That's the absolute core of the new skill set.
Yeah.
The quality of the AI's answer is completely tied to the quality of your instruction, your prompt.
You can't just vaguely ask for stuff.
No. And you need to know what kind of AI you're talking to. Our sources point out a key difference here. On one hand, you've got your general large language models, your LLMs, think, ChatGPT. They're great for quick summaries, conversational answers. You could ask it, what oil ratio is good for moisturizing skin?
And it'll give you a general idea, something practical.
Right. A useful starting point, maybe? But if you're a professional developing a product, you need more than a summary. You need precision. Evidence.
You can't base a commercial launch on a chat summary.
Exactly. Which brings us to the second type, the deep research AI tools. These are different beasts. Things like Scholar GPT, Perplexity AI, Consensus, Elicit, Site.ai.
Whoa, okay, that's a list. Let's maybe pause on one. What makes something like, say, Consensus different? Why use that?
Good question. Consensus, for example, is specifically designed to dig into academic research papers. It doesn't just find facts. It tries to find where the scientific agreement, the consensus, actually lies on a topic by analyzing study findings, or where there are disagreements.
I see. So it's looking at the evidence itself, not just web pages.
Precisely. It's about synthesizing actual scientific data.
Okay, so let's contrast the approaches then. The prompt makes all the difference. What's an amateur prompt look like in this soap world?
Super basic. Something like, give me a soap formula.
And the result?
You'll get a generic recipe. Probably perfectly fine, but, the kind of thing you'd find easily with a quick web search. Nothing special, nothing tailored.
Okay, now what does a professional targeted prompt sound like?
It's a completely different level of detail. It's not asking for a formula. It's defining the rules the formula needs to follow. Like, create a cold process soap recipe. I need a final pH around 8.5. It must have 3% superfat. Use olive oil and make sure coconut oil is exactly 30% of the oil weight.
That's specific.
And crucially, cite your sources, preferably from peer-reviewed chemistry resources or established formulation databases, and explain the chemical balance of the resulting formula.
Right, you're setting constraints. And for someone listening who isn't a chemist, why are those details, pH 8.5, 3% superfat, why are they so critical?
That's where the product quality comes in. The pH target ensures the soap is mild enough for skin, not harsh. And superfat, that's the bit of extra oil left over after the soap-making reaction that determines how moisturizing the final bar feels.
Got it. So setting those targets forces the AI to act more like a consultant chemist designing to spec.
Exactly. Not just a search engine finding existing stuff. It has to calculate based on your specific needs.
That's a world away from just asking for a soap formula. It completely changes the nature of the interaction.
And there's one more crucial instruction, telling the AI where to look. You might say, base your calculations and sources on reliable industry tools like SoapCalc or SoapE, or supplier data from Essential Depot or Making Cosmetics, and list the references you used.
So you're vetting the input data before the AI even starts working, guiding its research.
You have to. It ensures the foundation of the answer is much more likely to be sound.
Okay, but even with great prompts, there are risks. We've established the AI is fast, it's powerful, but it's not perfect. You called it a very fast assistant, not a scientist. So we need to talk about quality control. Where does the human chemist still fit in?
This is so important. The AI is making predictions based on patterns in the data it was trained on. But sometimes, if there are gaps in that data or conflicting information, the AI doesn't always just stop. It might. Well, it might guess to fill the void, to keep the conversation going or provide an answer. That's the hallucination problem we hear about.
Right. But hang on, if it's processing millions of data points, why do I still need to double check? Isn't the whole point that it's better at the math, the chemical logic, than I am?
It's faster at computation, yes. But its judgment about the quality of the input data isn't necessarily better. It's because of what you could call the data pool challenge, that massive data set it learns from. It's a mix. It contains highly accurate, peer-reviewed formulas right alongside, experimental blog posts or maybe hobbyist recipes with errors. The AI might not inherently know which is which.
So it could pull a great ratio from a scientific paper and mix it with a bad ratio from some random website.
Potentially, yes, if it doesn't have clear signals about source reliability or if the prompt doesn't guide it.
And if it hallucinates in soap chemistry? What does that look like? Is it dangerous, like explosions?
Usually not that dramatic with soap oils, thankfully. It's more about chemical inconsistency. It leads to a product that just fails. For instance, a hallucination might produce a recipe where the amount of potassium hydroxide, the KOH value, doesn't actually match the specific oils used. Chemically, it's just wrong.
And the result?
The soap could be way too harsh, caustic, or it might never harden properly, or it could separate, have zero shelf life. The AI filled a gap with a guess, and the chemistry didn't work out.
So the human expert isn't gone. Their role just shifts more towards verification, checking the AI's homework.
Exactly. You still need that fundamental chemical logic, like a chemist doing a final visual inspection in the lab or running a quick pH test. You have to sanity check the output.
Especially critical if you're actually to sell this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. For any commercial product, that final rigorous check, probably involving consultation with a specialized chemist for sign-off, that's non-negotiable. The AI is the incredibly efficient assistant. The human is still the responsible scientist making the final call.
Okay, so verification is key. The problem isn't getting information anymore. It's making sure the information is right. The sources lay out 3 core strategies for this. How do we check the AI's work? Let's start with method 1, source verification.
This is basic, but crucial, especially for avoiding those hallucinations. If the AI gives you a complex piece of information, a specific ratio, a chemical claim, your first instinct should be, where did that come from? If it doesn't automatically provide a source, you push back, command it. Please verify that, give me references. Maybe specify peer-reviewed references or establish industry databases.
Forcing it to show its work.
Exactly. It makes the AI check itself. If it can find a reliable source, great. If it can't, that flags a potential issue right there. It might backtrack or admit uncertainty.
Okay, method 2 uses a different approach, cross-verification, like getting a second opinion.
Yeah, this is really powerful. You treat different AI models like different measurement tools in a lab. You take your very specific technical question, the one you carefully crafted, and you ask it to several different major AI platforms. You know, ask ChatGPT, then ask Gemini, ask Claude, maybe Perplexity, Find, these different systems.
And if they all come back with basically the same answer, the same formula, the same chemical logic,
your confidence level goes way up. It suggests the answer is robust, likely based on widely available, consistent data.
But if one of them gives a wildly different answer?
Bingo! That's your red flag. That discrepancy tells you exactly where you need to dig deeper, scrutinize the assumptions, or maybe discard that outlier result. It pinpoints potential errors or hallucinations.
Like using different thermometers to measure the same sample, you trust the reading more if they all agree.
Precisely.
All right, in the third method, this one requires the user to be savvy about the tools themselves, knowing their expertise.
That's right. You need to understand that not all AI is created equal. Each model is trained differently on different data sets. So they develop different strengths. Some are great conversationalists, good for brainstorming. Others, like we mentioned with Site.ai or Scholar GPT, are heavily trained on academic literature. They excel at finding and citing research papers. Others might be better at engineering calculations or code generation, or even analyzing images or video.
So it's about matching the tool to the job. The user needs that professional judgment.
Yes. You wouldn't ask an AI specialized in voice cloning to perform a complex chemical analysis, right?
No, of course not.
It's the same principle. Don't expect a general chatbot to reliably perform calculations that really need access to specialized chemical databases or deep scientific paper analysis. Use the right AI assistant for the specific task. That's a core skill now.
This has been really eye-opening. A deep dive into how expertise itself is evolving. So if we boil it down, the main takeaway seems to be AI makes the expert incredibly more efficient. It's like having a super fast, tireless lab assistant.
An assistant that can read every language and access a global library instantly.
But, and this is the big bet, it doesn't replace the expert's judgment. It fundamentally changes the skills that make someone an expert.
Absolutely. The bottleneck isn't finding information anymore. We're swimming in information, potential answers. The critical skill, the thing that adds value now, is directing the AI effectively, crafting those precise, sophisticated prompts, and then, crucially, testing the output, applying rigorous verification using those strategies we discussed, using fundamental chemical logic.
The final judgment call, the responsibility, it still rests with the human.
It has to, especially when safety and quality are on the line.
So we'll leave you, the listener, with this thought to chew on. If technical skill is becoming less about knowing all the answers or doing the calculations by rote, and more about designing smart questions for AI, and then rigorously validating the answers it synthesizes. Think about your own field, your area of expertise. What specific skills do you need to be developing right now? How do you need to shift your mindset to effectively manage your AI assistant? How do you move from being the expert operator to becoming the expert director? Something to consider.